Hi, welcome back to Currency. Let me get into a character that is above and beyond the person that I am in real life. Let me get fake for a second here. Okay, let me get into fake. But cuz fake is the new real, and like fake is better than being real. If anybody is performing, they're being fake. Cuz nobody sings a song or whatever. Nobody sings a song in reality. In reality, you're not going around singing. That's because reality is just for talking. So if somebody's like really getting into a song and like performing it, all of that is fake. And that's the shit that we like, and we're like, wow, that was so real. How fucking fake you were was so amazing. I mean, it's something like that. It's not about being real. It's about fucking ice. Fuck ice mountain. Ice mountain, the water. A little presumptuous to be calling water ice, don't you think? Spring water, my ass. Give me purified. I don't believe that it's natural spring. Fuck ice and fuck ice mountain. Fuck ice. It's slippery. You walk on it, you fall down. You fall down and walking on it. Like, hey, ice, maybe be a little bit more considerate. There's people walking. Like, at least if it's rain, like, at least if it rains, you walk on it, then that's just wet. At least it's not ice, you know? Fucking get out of here, ice. Ice. Give me salt. Go salt. Fuck ice. Fuck ice and go salt. So when you throw salt on ice agents, they start melting, is what they found. They tried it on a couple of them. I heard tell of. They tried it on a couple of them out in Denver, and they started melting when they threw salt on them. So their Achilles heel is salt. They're like the aliens from Signs. Except their whole thing is ice, not water. But like I said, with Ice Mountain, it's pretty presumptuous. You're calling your water ice. You're calling it a mountain. It's water. It's not an ice mountain. So, you tell me. Mountains are they're pretty maintained. Mountains are pretty maintained. Coincidentally enough, they're pretty maintained, folks. I'm just riled up about ice a little bit. I'm a little riled up about ice. You fucking trying to walk here. You ever think, hey? So, oh yeah, let me get a special shoe to walk on you. It's like, I guess ice didn't get the memo. I'm a little bit prickly. I am a little prickled. I'm kind of prickled right now. I'm prickled pink because of ice. Ice baby. You're telling me, I'm telling you. I'm telling you that you're telling me, but I mean the opposite of that. I'm telling you that you're telling me. I'm telling me that you're telling you. Oh. Ice mountains are pretty maintained. They're so maintained, like they're low maintenance, you'd be like, because they maintain themselves so well. Low maintenance, of course, is a term we give to people that are very highly maintained. So, I mean, so it's like, so it's like, whatever happened to high maintenance being for people who are highly maintained is kind of what I'm saying. But, I mean, who cares what I'm saying? Satan rules. That's why nobody cares what I'm saying, because I throw in a lot of Satan rules. Down with Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll. Okay, so the Grammys was on, and people care about the Grammys again, apparently. But the thing is that, so like all this political stuff happened at the Grammys. And let me tell you my opinions about it, because that's what I do. to share my opinions. My opinion is that I think that what you're seeing is the political divide is shifting between. It was conservatives versus liberals. I mean, it was like Democrats, Republicans, and then it kind of became like conservatives, liberals, a more colloquial term for it. Or the official term is still like Democrat, Republic, because those are the party names that are displayed on all of the shits of the Congress men and ladies, Congress ladies of the public that represent the public, the Congress females, and the Congress dicks, the Congress hoses, and the Congress, the other one. The Congress hoses and the Congress vages. Hoses and vages, but I'm not going to say the colloquial term for vages because of posterity and because of mad respect, because of angry respect. I don't know, because of mad, hoses, vages, or just whatever's in between there, and all the other ones like different genders, like the men, women, and the women, men, is like, I think that's the politically correct term for those things, those creatures, or whatever that come out at. Is it creatures? Is like, that's kind of the name? I forget, because you're not allowed to say trannies, as far as I've heard. Saying trannies is kind of like saying Charlie Kirk, like it's a swear word. Like, you can't say Charlie Kirk because people will be like, hey, yeah. Whoa, don't even say it. Whoa. And so, but then so Jelly Roll was at the Grammys. So like the political divide is going to evolve from liberals, conservatives to Christians versus non-Christians, probably. Something like that. Jelly Roll is at the Grammys. It's just that all the MAGA people that are like for years and years, they're so pissed off when somebody from Hollywood wins an award and then they want to share their opinions, which, is just like if somebody wins a Grammy, it's the same thing as that piece of shit moron, Scotty Scheffler, when he wins the Masters, and then he's like, I don't even know what it means to win the Masters. It's pointless. I don't know. I don't care. Like, all these mega people, all these Christian people want it to be that there's no respect given to the awards you can win on Earth, like a Grammy or the Masters. Like, Scotty Scheffler's a Christian. That's why he's the only one who would be like, he's the only one who would be shitty enough of a person. I mean, besides somebody else who's like has an agenda to be like, the awards we win on Earth don't matter. I feel like if somebody wins a Grammy, I would think that if I won a Grammy, I would feel some semblance of superiority, or like there's got to be like superiority has to be allowed somewhere. It's hard to win a Grammy. All those people that are like, I hate when fucking artists come up and they start talking about politics. Like, you're not here to do whatever. You know the trope. Like, oh, the Hollywood people can't tell us what to do. They think that just because they act, they get to tell us what to do. It's like all those people that say that if you won a Grammy, you would be the biggest loudmouth, and you would think that you deserved it. You deserve to have a platform to tell everybody in the world what to do. Of course, those people, if they won an award, would be the loudest of anyone. Is true because they're criticizing people who actually won the award. They think they can talk down people who won an award and that they're the ones that have the right to talk over them. They're like, as if they won the Grammy. Like, how about the opinion that like it means something to win a Grammy, and it's like, if I won one, it's not like they for sure think, hey, by the way, everybody in the world needs to listen to me, but like it's kind of expected that everybody gives a speech at the Grammys, and a lot of these people are liberal, so they might just talk about politics or whatever. But when Jelly Roll talks about Jesus, lectures everybody in a more hateful way than any of the liberal people, like just as hateful, if not more so than any of the liberal people, goes up and he's like, yells in everybody's face about following Jesus and whatever. But all the mega people are hypocrites if they're not calling out Jelly Roll, because Jesus is also political. Jesus is entirely political. That's the most political thing ever. And that's one of the biggest lies about it, is the separation of church and state. It's like, well, Jesus doesn't involve himself in politics. There's a Department of Faith. There's a department specifically devoted to Christianity installed in the White House recently, just in the past like year and a half or like 2 years. Brand new. There's no Department of Muslim Faith, whatever. It's Christian specifically. And it's just, that's not important for me proving my point, but like Jesus is the biggest world leader. That's the greatest world political mind. Like, he's a political genius. If Jesus is so entirely political, like, he's the most worldly figure over the world. Everybody in the world knows who he is. It's like Donald Trump, but greater. Whereas like Donald Trump has 100% name recognition across the world, basically, or something like that. It's like Jesus is even more than that. Jesus is like the greatest political leader. If you're talking about Jesus, that is politics. So you don't get to be mad at a Hollywood person for talking about their liberal thing and not get mad at Jelly Roll for talking about Jesus. That's very political. And everybody in the world already has a relationship to Jesus, which is what Jelly Roll was telling people to have. Like, yeah, we already have that because we already know who he is. It's not like, we didn't devote ourselves to him, but we know we have a relationship just because we all have to live under his name in this era. And nobody gets to name themselves Jesus because it's like the name above all names or whatever. The name above all the name. I mean, it's kind of like the most common name. It's kind of like the name that everybody knows also. But it's both sides of it. And so the Christians kind of do this thing where they don't care about, man, I wanted to have more fun than this. I didn't want to talk about Jesus. It's not Jesus's fault. It's just like this group of people that act like they know him, or they're like, use him as a shield, or like control his name, image, and likeness after the fact. They're like XXX Tentacion's family or something. They're like, release all 30-second clips of songs that were left on his computer that he would be horrified were launched to the public just so they can make a buck, you know? And that's what they do. That's Jesus. And that's Jesus. And that's the Christian church, is whoever's Lil Sky's family or whatever. I know like Lil Sky's isn't dead, but he will be soon, right? Or something. As long as you have Lil, they will be dead soon. I'm just playing around. That era is done where those people are dead, where their name was Lil. Rappers just aren't, I mean, they're not dying like they were in the 2010s because they don't take it seriously. They just don't have respect for the game as much as they used to. There was a little bit of feuding going on in the 2010s among like mumble rappers and whatever. It was kind of like it was kind of like the 90s again, and people were dying, but you know, you can only have special times like that come around only every once in a while. And so Jelly Roll is the thing is about Jelly Roll is like his name is Jelly Roll, and he's always the most angry and most sad person of anybody. He's like the saddest, angriest person on camera all the time. Like, your name is Jelly Roll, you should be the life of the party, I would have thought. And that's why he is so angry, is because like we don't have to respect him. If his name is Jelly Roll, we don't have to listen to a single word he says. You named yourself Jelly Roll, so that means like you're the life of the party. and like that is what we can come to expect of you. But like he's never the life of the party. He's just like crying every chance he gets. He's so sad, and it's because like he named himself Jelly Roll, and nobody will respect him like ultimately. But he made a fool of himself at the Grammys because he was just like talking really loud, and he was like, "Nah, I'm just a dumb redneck, and ain't nobody. Don't listen to my. You don't need to know my opinion on politics. You ask me for politics, huh? I'm stupid. You kidding me?" And then, literally 20 seconds later, he's like, "And I'm gonna tell everybody in this nation exactly what my opinions on ICE are. Everyone's gonna know it. I'm gonna say it in the loudest, clearest voice they've ever heard." And then he was like, "Thank you for asking." And then he smiled in a silly, fake way. And then he's like, "My name's Jelly Roll, baby." But he didn't do that. That's what I want him out. That's what I want out of him. That's all he should be doing. Like Jelly Roll is just like, I mean, it's just like one of those situations where it's like Jelly Roll is out here. And Jelly Roll is, so Billie Eilish made a speech and whatever. She's like, Billie Eilish is kind of like on my watch list of people that I want to assassinate. And I shouldn't say assassinate. I just mean like the people that get rid of them. The people to end them so they're not walking around on the earth anymore. But it's not because whatever. I don't think that I would kill her though, because it'd be like a waste of the bullet, because she's kind of already dead. Because she doesn't have because she's so like coddled by her people or whatever, she's so insulated that it's already a lost cause. So like it wouldn't be worth it. She's already gone. Nothing will be redeemed. She has nothing to redeem. That's the thing about Billie Eilish. And it's sad. I feel bad for her. She has nothing. I mean, but like Shane Gillis is a man in the patriarchal society, so he would still be on my like let's kill him list because he's not adding any value. That's what I'm talking about. Like Billie Eilish ain't adding any value to anything. And so I'm not saying like I'm against conservatives or like go liberals. That's another twisty curveball in case this is the first time you've ever heard me talk. Case this is the first time you've ever heard me talk. I have a bad Trump impression, but like people do lots of Trump impressions. I don't really care about ICE because I think if you think America isn't going to enforce their borders, you're just being ignorant because, hey, it's America. So yeah, they're kind of like they want to protect it. I don't know if you recognize where we're like put American flags up everywhere and people are like really all about America. Everywhere there are flags. And then there's like 300 America songs, like the Gulf Coast Water one. And then God Bless the USA. God Bless America. 3, the national anthem. The 4th of July song. I'm going to make it up. I'm going to make it up later. And by later, I mean now. It's the 4th of July. Did you know? It's coming up. The 4th of July. Or it's today. Or it was before. It's coming up. Or it was just behind us. The 4th of July. It's a date in the year. We go around the year. It comes back around. The day that it is the name of the celebration. Like the literal date. It's not like other days. The 4th of July, and it's not the 3rd, and it's after the 3rd, but before the 5th. The 4th of July. The 4th of July. America is a beautiful place, and we like to play golf in America. Thank you very much, Britain. Yeah, I think we'll take it from here, Britain. Yeah, or wherever it was invented, like China, where it was invented in China. I want China to just be spelled with an E at the end, so it's a silent E. China. Yeah, or whatever, like golf was invented in wherever one of those foreign planets like Neptune or Japan or China or whatever, Korea or whatever it is. It's like whatever that is to them. I don't know what they make of it. I don't know what they think China is over in China. I don't know what the Chinese decided that they thought that China was. But its perception should be controlled by the government of America or something like that, or bureaucracy, or just the public. So the public decides now from now on. But anyway, golf is a fun game that I like to play. Golf is a fun game that I like to play. It's a fun game. I like to play golf. People play it. Folks out in the country playing golf. So everyone knows about golf. Oh my god. All right, I'm on a roll. Keep it hot. Keep it hot now. Here it is. Here it is. Jelly roll. Jelly roll. Come on, baby. Come on. What else you got? Show me what you got. Jelly roll. And Jelly Roll is a real figure in American whatever. The Justin Bieber performance at the Grammys was bad. It's not good. His vocals sounded bad. He used to sing better than he does now. He became a Christian and he got worse. But that doesn't mean he's not Justin Bieber. That doesn't mean he's not going to put out hit songs. I would say that they are much less bangers than they used to be. But, you know, they don't. The view count doesn't say so. He still puts out songs. He'll still get just as much views on his songs, if not more, than he used to, because Justin Bieber is for real. Justin Bieber's for real. That's where I live. That's where I'm at. I'm trying to think of what else about the Grammys I was going to say. I'm just saying, like, if I won a Grammy, like, you know, there's value in the Grammy. There's a reason that it's like we have to dispute that those people get to tell us something just because they won an award. It's because like people get defensive over that because they feel convicted, because they're like, oh, I guess they're like definitely accomplished something I would never accomplish. So it's kind of like they're in a position to tell me. It's kind of like they're in a position to tell me what's up a little bit. That's why people get pissed about it. It's because they're like, oh, I might have to admit authority in some way, or like, you know, not that you would have to admit it, but like those people, you don't watch the program, or if you don't want to hear it, or like, why does anybody get mad about that? You know, why do people get mad about things? It's kind of like, if you get mad about it, does that mean automatically that you're part of it? Pretty much, right? I mean, does that mean that? Or can you get mad at something and just like you can get mad at something, be totally outside of it, just be like, that's beneath me, I think. But like you are getting mad about it, you're entering into that thing. And something I thought about is like how the word argument and the word agreement are so close. They're just like a switch of a R and a G. And an argument, coincidentally, is like always an agreement that you have with another person to argue, to like you're in a thing. It's a you against them, but it's in a fight is also an agreement. Not every time, but like if you're running away, that's kind of where you'd say it's not a fight anymore. If you're like running away from it. Someone starts swinging and then you sprint away. I couldn't imagine. Wouldn't you at least, I mean, yeah, depending if they were like really big, then yeah, then you would sprint away. I'm just imagining what would happen for when I do stand-up comedy and then I say something and somebody needs to start swinging or whatever. If I make fun of sick kids in the hospital or whatever, or, you know, anything, and then the audience is like, I might be in for a lifetime of people attacking me on stage, of slapping me like Will Smith. That can only be funny if somebody slaps me. But a punch is a bit more serious. Like, I should take that more seriously. I honestly feel like I'm kind of like the Joker. Like, you would, if somebody was punching me, like, obviously getting knocked out, that would be a different thing. But even if I got knocked out, I wouldn't be like, just running through all the scenarios here. I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't have remorse. I wouldn't be like, oh, I should have. Not that I know, but I mean, I've been punched in the face before. Took boxing classes and whatever. And I guess, I mean, that counts. Yeah, people punch me in the face. This is sparring. So it wasn't like the biggest punch, you know. Sparring is not the biggest punch. That's what they say. That's the first rule of sparring. Sparring ain't the biggest punch. And what's the biggest punch is like The Rock or whatever. The Rock really packs a punch. Like if you got punched by The Rock, that's kind of the part of the thing about The Rock is that if you get punched by a guy named The Rock, if you get punched by a Jelly Roll, then ain't nothing gonna happen to you. Jelly Roll's got to be one of the most unintimidating. I mean, he walks around like so sad and so emotional, like he just gives himself away wherever he goes, you know? It's like he wears his emotions on his sleeve, I guess. And they are, I guess, his real emotions, but that's just kind of the weakness of it, is like Jelly Roll amounts to a really unintimidating guy. So if you get really serious and in my face about like everyone needs to follow Jesus, god damn it, because that's basically what he's saying. I know he's saying like Jesus is for everyone, but I think it's just more like what it sounded like was, I'm really angry right now. That's all that it sounded like to people, especially people that don't like Jesus already. There's like, you know, I don't think he won anybody over. Reba McEntire was a fan, but she probably liked him before, would be my guess. So before all that went down, Reba McEntire and Jelly Roll were already tight. She already had Jelly Rolls all rolled all up on over her, or like wrapped around her, because she was tight with Jelly Roll. And so I'm saying like Jelly Roll as a concept, like the noun, to say like, oh, very many instances of it, but just say Jelly Roll to mean the plural. She was tight with Jelly Roll, the concept. And so she had very many Jelly Rolls wrapped around her. Getting into the weeds now. Here. We're into the weeds. So things are getting a little scary. That's what I'm saying. We're getting off track. We're getting into the alternative. Things are getting scary. It's like, that's why goth people or whatever, people who wear too many body piercings, it's because they are off the beaten path. Because it's not popular. That's kind of what people means a little bit. In order for it to be scary, it has to not be popular. I mean, it has to be weird. People are like, that's weird. But there's a lot of things that are weird. There's a big section of weird that it's like, yeah, that's not good. And it is weird, and we're not attracted to it. But there's also a big section of weird that's like good as well. But it's kind of it's territory you're not allowed to go into in polite society. So it's kind of all seen as scary. It's all seen as bad. All of the weird is seen as scary or whatever. But let me get back to my agreement argument. And is that an agreement? I mean, people say an argument when it's just like an opinion, which is probably not accurate or something. I mean, whatever. You know what I mean, like the kind of argument you argue with someone. Are you? I think those MAGA people and anybody who's like, celebrities don't get to tell me what to do. It's because they feel a little bit like, oh, I should admit that they are, they deserve to say something. Because they can't stand for a second that somebody might actually be in a position to talk down to them. Like people that, it's a bunch of condescenders, bunch of condescending kind of people that are like, I'm the one who condescends. Ain't nobody who, just because you acted, just because you're in a movie that was, just because people in every single nation saw you on screen, you're like in a movie that went international. Like, and everybody in the world saw your face. Yeah, just because you did that, you're in a big blockbuster movie and you won an award for being the best at being in one of those, doesn't mean, like, it does mean a little bit. And that's kind of what we're missing. And that's what I'm bringing to you today. That might be the only thing I brought to you today, but is that, well, the reason people get mad about that is because, like, they do sort of have something to say because of what they did, what they accomplished. Like, well, sorry, accomplishments do mean something a little bit. You don't get to say just because it didn't happen in a church that it doesn't mean anything, Scotty Scheffler. Whatever. If you're in an argument, you're in an agreement. So if you are arguing it's an agreement. That's the thing, is like when ChatGPT tells me something, when I'm like, say something about the paranormal or whatever, all the AIs that I've encountered have a very rigid stance against like conspiracies or the paranormal, where they're like, no, do not, everything paranormal, that's just anecdotal, that's bullshit. The only thing that counts is like the official police narrative or something. Just like you have to listen to the authorities, which is one of the lies, is like the authorities as a term to describe the police specifically. Isn't that what it is? When we say the authorities, let me eliminate all other possibilities. Like literally the authorities, people mean just the police. That's one of the most ridiculous, like lexical things or whatever, like linguistic things that there is, that I've never even thought about. Because everybody is the authorities. Everybody that has a job is an authority of that job. Authority is the easiest thing in the world. It's not something that gets awarded to the police. Certainly, it doesn't get awarded to a specific group of people. Like politicians are, I mean, besides all of the authorities that are typically seen as authorities, like scientists, doctors, journalists, the authorities. You have to listen to the authorities, that people basically mean the police when there's like the authorities. They didn't author anything. They're kind of like anti-authorities. I mean, it's just a bad thing to get into. And it's a scary thing when you have to give authorship over to the police for like the paranormal, like, oh, the police didn't come out with an official story that like this ghostly sounding thing happened or whatever. Like, even though it was in the reports, like that was what was reported by eyewitnesses or like UFOs or anything. It's not in the official report from the authorities. That's just one way another way people get around recognizing the paranormal. And it's scary when so many different kinds of stories just get lumped into like, well, the police have to say it, like the police get authorship over it. They're the authorities. When your authorship is taken away, that's when you get more when the world is expected to live in a more contained place with rigid borders, where it's like, well, if something confusing, there gray areas in stories happens, shit that happens on the fringes in uncertain realms and on the peripheral of our vision, you know, all of those things are meant to be authored by the boys in blue. One color. By the boys in blue, because the boys in blue are so good at like whatever, like, you know, I mean, because they're so trustworthy or whatever. They're like because they're so good. Because they're that good. I'm saying it's scary, all of the very many different kinds of stories, like all of the things that we lose just so that we can live in the same certain world. Boringness is scary. Boring is scary because it's just a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy, and the police are everywhere in the world. Like, they're breathing together. The police, policy enforcers, that's a conspiracy. The police are a conspiracy. And it's not a theory. You can see all of them all the time. They're physical. It's not fictional. It's pretty fictional that way that they are given the power to commandeer stories wherever they go. And it's so... That's a problem, that we call them the authorities, the colloquial-ish term, or whatever. Like, stop calling them that. I'm calling them that now to call out people calling them that, and that is what is fine. To say that it's a negative thing, that's fine. Be like, no, people shouldn't be saying that. Because it gives them authorship. You see how important, how powerful it is. Like, that's an instant story if you got pulled over by the police. It's because they're the authorities. Even though everyone is an authority over everything. Everyone is the authority. Like, you live in your house, you're the authority over that house. It's one of the easiest things in the world, or something like that. But it's really disconnected, and it's really like something that people would typically say, like, that's a conspiracy. You're a conspiracy theorist, is kind of like saying authority is everywhere. It's disconnected, and it takes a billion different forms, authority. But people that hate conspiracy theories are like, well, we got to stay within the rules. We got to listen to the police. We got to give it all to this one uniform, breathing together conspiracy of people that exists all in nations all across the world. Like, very slightly different, like, variations of the same thing, a policy enforcer. Polices. And we got to give it to that. And that's a conspiracy. If it's something like that that's universal and they're all the same, and, like, everybody believes that's necessary. I'm saying, like, the kinds of things that we don't hear about, and the kinds of the people that get forgotten, or there isn't more looked into it because something weird happened around it, that makes it a lot scarier. When we have to distance ourselves from these things that we don't get to explore all the details of, and people aren't, and they aren't investigating further because, well, like, that falls into a confusing territory. That's scary, that all of that shit, that people get disappeared because the world is kind of instructed to forget and ignore as much of that as possible. For, like, all these people that have stories that, like, fell into a weird area. That's scary. It's not scary that it's weird. What makes it scary is the distance that we keep from it because of the fears that we have now. You know, that's what makes us more afraid of it, is not being able to approach it or accept it. Because we haven't accepted it, we're not able to. That makes all of that, like, the paranormal, a lot scarier. And it's probably like, even if we accepted that, there would be a new level of the paranormal. So it's not like fear is the problem. Fear is just that's going to be one of the big things into the future. Fear has a great future. Like, AI is not going to take away fear. Fear is going to be with us for hundreds of years. It's a very impressive technology that people utilize? How do you utilize fear? It's just kind of like the distancing measure that people take. Everything is fear factor, you know, and that's why part of why Joe Rogan got so big is like he's the host of Fear Factor, and these like titles and shit like that, they mean something. Like authorities mean something. Your name means something. If you want, like the position that somebody is, it's symbolic. I like the symbolism of it. I mean, I give more credit to the symbolism of it than other people. Maybe it's a liberal conservative thing where it's like, or just like people that are literalist, that would be like, Joe Rogan was the host of Fear Factor. That means he's given some sort of credit. He should be given some sort of authority over fear more than other people in the world because the nation knows him as that. And then it's kind of a troll or like a critique on him that then there's a new Fear Factor made with a new host, Johnny Knoxville. It's like Johnny Knoxville is a little bit of a troll of Joe Rogan, and probably big media is happy to put together a new Fear Factor with a new host. So it's like Joe Rogan isn't the only one with the authority over that title, host of Fear Factor. But I'm saying, like, and I'm just saying, there's probably a lot of people, I feel like maybe conservatives, that would be like, you're ridiculous for thinking that means something. Yeah, people that think like, oh, words don't mean something, or there's no symbolism with like he was the host of Fear Factor. And part of it is like, part of it is like the, just like the names, the world that we live in, and when you have a name and your name is meant to not mean anything, whereas like your last name is doctor, and we're like, no, that whether it's like it's not related to doctoral stuff or anything. It's just that's his last name. That's just a placeholder. Like we're always supposed to be like, oh, the name doesn't mean anything, and people, for some reason, people don't talk about ever that Donald Trump's last name is Trump, and he just trumps people all the time, which is the example I constantly use because that's just like first one I think of. But it's like there's plenty of names as I encounter them like all the time where I'm like, yeah, well, he's that way because of his name. Because if you want to, I think honestly, if you want to know a lot about a person, just look at what their name literally means in English, in plain English, as best you can. So a lot of people have last names that it's like not an English word. And then that means that they have creative freedom to interpret themselves in the world, because I'm saying like the name means a lot. I'll get to that in a second. Joe Rogan. No, I'll get to that right now. The name is, if you want to know a lot about a person without knowing very much about them, just like look at what their name is and like interpret it literally in English, or just like whatever it sounds like. If it's like if your last name is McMuffin, that sounds a lot like McMuffin. And so that person, if they have that last name, they have to orient themselves in line with like McDonald's in their life. I believe a little bit. And it's because you only get one name, and you have to integrate yourself into the world you live in. You have to integrate yourself in with your surroundings. And because I'm a big believer in like words mean things. And it's not just like the meaning, the literal definition. It's like symbolically what it means, what like the whole society's relationship to that word is, because the word shouldn't exist. It's like a really one out of infinity thing that the word would exist as this one specific thing. And because it exists as that specific thing, it has specific borders, the word. And we can only define ourselves by our relationship to the things around us. It's like we define ourselves by ourselves, yeah, but like as integrated with the society and the people around us is the only way we can do it. We're living in a story, an unfolding story, and we have to throw ourselves in relation to that story. And it's like how people don't just choose ideas choose people. And in order to do that, it's just like America has this specific relationship to like McMuffin or something that sounds close to it. So so I don't know how they would do that. I'm not saying like they would become a McDonald's worker or anything. I'm saying like the vibe or just the ideology has to align. Like you see with Norm Macdonald, for example, he has a lot of jokes about like being on a farm and a lot of jokes about animals because he has to, like old MacDonald had a farm, you know, because he has to, he has to sell himself to people, and people don't, if you're not relating yourself, it's hard to, it's hard to explain, I guess, but like English if it's an English word for English speakers, it depends on the culture that you're in and how your culture defines terms and whatever. So like a person, as they grow up, as they live through life, they're a character with a name, and you only get one name, and you like people. I'm saying people live up to the name, you know, regardless of what you think or you believe me. People live up to the name, so that person would have to like. Just it would come out in a lot of the things that they say and the way that they act. Regardless, you'd be like, you would be like, oh, there's some sort of McDonald's association with this person, is what you would think. But like people don't. What I'm saying is that people don't make that connection. Ridiculously enough, like somebody could be walking around with the last name McMuffin and acting McDonald's-y, and I don't know how that would look. Okay, so it's a weird example. If your name was like Vinaigrette and you were like a great seasoning, like you were a very salt of the earth, like you added to conversations or whatever, you like, or you added to, or you were like a vegetarian. I like shit like that. I see shit like that everywhere. Vinaigrette. If you were like, and you were like somebody who was known as like contributing to the conversation, and you weren't really potent, like you were a dressing, like you were something that went over top of things to help out the situation, like that's what that person would become. And I think that people have that much choice, that much agency over their lives, but they do only in the respect that like you're contained to one title. So it's easy to have agency only in one direction, like, you know, because people are practicing doing that, being that person every day of their life. So, and you have to, because you're only one name, just like everybody else. So like you practice becoming that, you know, it would come really easily, like, because it would just be second nature to you, whatever. And it would have to be that everybody has to live up to their name. This is what I believe. I see stuff like that all the time. But what I'm saying is ridiculous is like, you could have the last name McMuffin and people wouldn't and you could be acting McDonald's-y. People wouldn't make the connection or be like, yeah, well, that's not part of it. People wouldn't be like, yeah, that's weird how, or they became a McDonald's worker or whatever. I don't sound like a retard. I sound, for using McMuffin as an example, whatever. I'll leave it in. But we'll leave it in. That's not the best example to sell my point. That's just like I'm dumb and I couldn't think of something. Like I could use any fucking word. I went to McMuffin. Like, I'm saying if your last name was Waiter, but let me tell you what this, because you're probably thinking, no, that's ridiculous, because you're thinking of thousands of examples of why that wouldn't be true. I assure you, I've thought about this for at least a decade, and it's just that if you have a last name that doesn't sound like any English word, then that puts you in a position to be like, oh, this person's random, or it's just like, it's harder to define where they're coming from. But there is a place where it's defined at some point. That you just have to look at the English words that are closest to it, and then it's like, oh, this person is carrying on as a warped version of this English word that sounds close to their last name, you know. So there's some people that are like, there's different kinds of people. I'm saying it's really, really underrated, really overlooked, like the way that a last name is related to a person. And it has to do with that people don't want to have to admit this is a problem. We're actually going to have to reorient society. Or it's like people don't it's the same thing as people that don't like choices of identities. It's like you're supposed to have one identity. You know, if identity was fluid, you could change your name all the time, then people would be more confusing. I mean, it's people want to control you. They want you to be under the authorities. I mean, they want you to be controlled. It's easy to control people when they're one name. And so people don't speak to like the heart of the issue because they don't. I mean, it's just totally deep in society to be like, we have to live with this system where everybody is one name. And it has to do with Jesus Christ. And we all have first name, last name, just like Jesus Christ. And we're given that right away in order to live in the Jesus Christ era. To live and go down in history with a first last name in comparison to the name above all names. And be below it and by comparison. Whereas like Jesus always wins. So it's a lot easier when... because Jesus was one name is part of it too. And so you can't, if you're more than one name, that would make it more that you are threatening the authority of Jesus. And yeah, they give him a lot of nicknames, but he only had one name, and that's just like he only had one like actual name. So people are walking around and like, no, I have different, like if people were like, no, I have different actual names every year of my life, I'm a different name. That's so far from the society we live in. It's kind of like the way that people don't move between houses, where like it's like the family unit. It's very conservative. It's very like live in the conservative world where everybody has one identity. You live in one city because it should be the option that you live are able to live in lots of different places. Like subletting and subleasing, which is what I'm going to do, which is part of why I'm talking about it. I'm going to start living in different cities just for like 1 month or 2 months at a time. Move to different furnished apartments. Then I don't have to lug my stuff everywhere. As long as you have enough money, you can do that. But like if we lived in a world where money was more like everybody had money, which is what apparently is going to happen according to like Elon Musk or whoever in the near future. So like everybody will have money. When that happens, then people can kind of just like move everywhere, and then it will be like needing to do a 1 year lease or 6 month lease will go out the window a little bit more. But it's just that people should be more mobile. We should be able to live in wherever city on the earth. But it's like there's just this it's just this societal like tradition of you living in the same city and like having the same story, having the same relationships, you know. Having the same, it's a conservative world. We haven't, part of what will break down about the conservative world is like all of those things I said, where it's like, we're going to get more mobile in all of these areas. I'm also a futurist. I'm telling you about the future. We're going to get more like whatever name that it is. But we live in a world right now where it's very objective. You're meant to live on one objective time period. And it's very objective. Where it's like Einstein's theory of relativity is as much an affront, as much flies in the face of Christianity as Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, if not more so. It's more an attack on Christianity than evolution is. It is the theory of relativity because not only because Christians need you to believe that time is one thing, that it can be thrown under one person's name, basically. Or that there's one history, there's one historical timeline. And if there's alternative narratives, we're working to throw those out because historians are also like scientists. That's why history is called a social science. It's because historians are like doing research to figure out what was the real story and throw out all the alternative ones. And it's all in like the story of Jesus because it's 2026 years after this one specific guy. That's what we're living under. And time is, you're supposed to understand time to be objective. Einstein comes along, he's like, well, time is relative. And it's like so verifiably obvious that everything carries on at different rates. Like if you're at the top of a mountain versus if you're at the bottom of that mountain, time is moving at a different rate. Besides that, it's moving at a much different rate if you're on one planet versus another planet. And then considering the universality of the universe, how big the universe, how many different rates of time, different gravities of planets causing different rates of time, besides that, like different colors moving at different frequencies. Every person continues at a different rate. Everybody frequents themselves in different ways, like at different habits, different motifs, like reoccurring instances that define that person, things that they surround themselves with. Like I collect vintage mugs or whatever. I collect vintage phonographs. You know, that person has that motif and that defines them, and that's a way that they frequent themselves because like that appears frequently in some regard in comparison to other people that don't have that thing, that it doesn't appear frequently for them. People are a collection of frequencies, you know, and that's part of what people mean when they say everything in the universe is frequency. What they mean is like everything finds its definition in the collection of things that it frequents itself through. And its relationships, relativity. Relativity is just a word for it's a word for the collection of all realities. The word for the collection of all rates. All the different rates that things move at. All the different relative rates. All the different frequencies. Relativity is kind of like close to the word reality is a word for realities. All the different realities people have. And like time, different rates of time, like different perceptions of it, like when you're at the top of the mountain, perception of time moves differently than at the bottom of a mountain or whatever. That is a reality. Like basically kind of in a one-to-one way, even though that in a one-to-one way is what I'm describing. Different perception of time is a different reality, and there are very many different realities. And relativity is a word for like the collection of all those relative rates. But we live in a world where like this very counterproductive, very incorrect. You can say a number of things about it. It's okay. It's the society we live in functions, and it's fine. There's a lot of things that are like right, quote unquote, about it. But one thing that is not exactly right is the truth. The truth is one thing that's fucked up about the way that we live. It's not, and like the truth is kind of more overrated than, it's kind of overrated. Like the truth isn't that great, but I'm saying it's one thing and it is wrong the way that we carry on with the truth in a lot of ways. Where it's like time is definitely the thing you have to consider as relative. It's like scientifically through Einstein and others, we see like them being like, no, verifiably like time is relative. Time is definitely something you need to not see as objective because it's so inaccurate factually to say that time should be, that there's one history or there's one time that it's objective, or that there's one name that you should give yourself or whatever, like titles. When a title goes over one thing, because titles should be given the ability to be very specific, very individualized, disconnected, be everywhere, like the way that different paranormal stories can manifest themselves. They can be very many different things. Titles should be very many different things, especially with regards to time. Time should be given very many different titles. It shouldn't be like specifically we live to. It's like history or whatever. Titles. When a title is over too big of an area, that's when things get scary, so to speak. I mean, that's when things get dumb. That's when things get unintelligent. Because it's like, you're supposed to work to identify greater and greater levels of things. That's why identity is a plague. Because when you group too many things to be the same under one title, you're ignoring the specifics of things, and you're ignoring like people's individualized stories. And you know, there's information to be gained from people's different stories, like progress to be gained in society, the same way like the different species of plants offer different medicinal benefits, whatever. There's like millions of species of plants, and a lot that we haven't even looked at yet, or whatever. You know, when you identify at a more specific level, better quality of life improves, because you can identify the specific medicinal benefits of like a specific, and that's why it's the word species of plant. You know, that specific thing we didn't have it before, because we didn't come up with the word, because we didn't come up with the title. So like when you try to like put one name, a person, you know, one person gets one title their whole life, it's a bit more dumb. It's more identified. It's a little bit scarier, because we're expected to treat that person with less like, oh, we're going to gain information from you, and then you as a person live more contained as put on you by society. Like, society keeps you contained. Everybody's doing that to everybody. It's more containing. It's not the worst thing in the world. I'm just saying, like, that's what scariness is like, when you're more contained, or you're more trapped, rather than like freedom to do things is just like objectively less scary. So I'm trying to describe scariness in general, but so yes, those are the messages I had to say to you today. Thank you for tuning into Currency. You guys are the best. I love it. Love you guys, so to speak. So to speak. Pop speak. Love you guys, pop speak. I don't like saying love you guys. I don't know who's listening. I love you know. So yeah, and thanks for tuning in. Come back next time. Goodbye.